Hey everyone, welcome to the Point Mechanic channel. My name is Beacon. This is the Beacon Breakdown, and this is the newest product from Flowtoys.com. They were kind enough to send me these capsule handle cases for a review, and so that's what I'm doing in this video. I'll be going over what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and then I'll break down the differences between the two. So let's get started. So the new one, I'm pretty sure, is phasing out the old ones. I'm not even seeing this on the site anymore. This is a 3D printed one-piece design. This is a two-piece, which was made up of a Play PX3 knob on the back and then a modified crystal case that fit the original flow lights. You had to pull that case back to be able to access the charge port, where the new one has a window there. You can just plug the cable right in, so that's much more convenient. As far as the size goes, this one is probably about a half an inch shorter than this one. This was a little bit longer, but I had to modify it to fit a bigger rope. That little bit of difference makes a ton of difference. This just feels like it fits in your hands so much cleaner. It just feels great. This is a millimeter narrower than this one, except for the knob, which is probably about 6 millimeters narrower than the original. The weight is really where it's at, though. This is 46 grams, where this one is 54 grams. So I find that with this on Podpoi, although I don't spin Podpoi all that much, I felt like this was just a little too heavy. This is going to be a much more better counterbalanced, in my opinion. You can either run the ring on the back or not. This one has a bit more of a squish if you don't run the ring, but if you want to add a little bit more weight, you can put, 1.5 grams by putting that ring on. This accepts the short shell and the long shell. If you use the short shell, though, it does push in a little past your charge port. So it's probably not the best, but you can do it. If you do use the short shell, I recommend using the ring on the back, just because the short shell is a little bit wider, making it harder to get in and out of the case. So it's a lot easier to grab onto a ring than not. The button on the back is really an improvement. It seems to be almost flush, so you can change the modes mid-spin, where the old one you could do that, but I really had to crank my finger around the backside just to get it into that hole. So that's a big improvement. Now, the old one, since it was a denser plastic, had these really, pronounced ridges on it, which I never liked. It did not feel that good in my hand. And another big problem, probably the main problem for me, is this part up here. It's flat on both of these sides, but these sides have points on them, or those ridges. So if you grab it like this, like for me, I'd have to switch like that just to feel like I had really good control. So I was hoping they'd come out with something a little more round, and that one is this. It's not perfectly round. You still have those ridges, but they're not as pronounced, and it has the ridges up here too, but it's definitely round feeling. It just feels great. Because they have those ridges in there, there's little air pockets in between there, and then these ridges that are printed on the inside of this kind of raise this up a little bit, so it gives it a little air pocket as well, which not only protects the capsule, I would imagine, but it just gives it a squishy feel. Like the whole thing feels squishy, which is really, really nice. I definitely like that. Now, because it is a 3D printed material, it is, slippery. I'm not a big fan of 3D printed, but a lot of people don't mind it. So what I did, though, was I took their elastomer tubing that you can get on Flowtoys, and it's the 1-inch stuff. It's a pain in the ass to get on there. If you have an air compressor, you can, stick the tube on, stick the air on the back of the tube, and then hopefully it'll blow up that tube a little bit to make it slide on easier. But that made a world of difference. This thing just feels amazing. It's just super, super grippy all the way down, and it's not going to come off. It's great. It does add a little bit of weight, though. This is now at 56 grams, so about 2 grams heavier than the original and 10 grams heavier than it without the elastomer. One thing I will mention, though, is this does have a little bit of a lip to it, which might annoy you. One thing I think you could do to fix that, though, is get just one wrap of silicone tape, wrap it really tight, and that should make it nice and tight on there. Now, this does take a 1/4-inch rope, but if you want to put a thicker rope on it, you can definitely stretch that out. What I did was I took a Sharpie, and I took the little clip off the Sharpie cap, and then I stuck this through here, and that gradually just opens that up a little bit. And then this is my plug that goes on the inside of the capsule, and I stuck this on the back side and then pushed it all the way through. And the last minute, I'm just pushing with the rope and it pops out on the inside. That is a 7/16 inch or so cap, so it does fit through that just fine, but it does take a little bit of stretching. Now, light diffusing properties. On the 3D printed, it seems that it lets the light out much better. It comes straight out and it's brighter, where the original, it seems to diffuse the light quite a bit. Either or seems to be good, but if you want the brighter option, here's the way to go. And this is kind of a mixture between the two, since it's got the elastomer tubing on it, disperses it, but you're able to see straight into it as well. You'll really notice the differences. At least I noticed the difference. Might not show up that good on the camera, but on the 3D printed honeycomb design like you have down here, it just seems that it lights up the knob a lot better. This is more evenly, but this just lights it up and lets the light out better. Really not much noticeable difference on the opposite side. This maybe lets it out just a tad better. The other option, which I'll have a whole build video on this, is for a heavier knob and a perfectly round shaft. I like a heavier knob quite a bit more than most people. This is 63 grams, and what I did with this was I had the original setup, which was the PX3 knob on a long shell, and then I took a polycarbonate tubing that Flowtoys sells, put the elastomer tubing over that, and then on the end I took their nunchuck attachments, which are a 3D printed attachment that I modified. I had to cut it, I had to drill it out on this side, and I had to drill it out on this side. But what that does is it gives it that perfectly round feel to it, and it's super grippy, and it's just everything I've ever wanted in a knob. This is probably the way I'm going to go, but if you like lighter, this is something I definitely recommend. So anyways, that was it on the review. I hope this has helped some people figure out whether they want these or not. I think you probably do. They're great. If you have any comments or questions, please do let me know. If you have anything you want me to review, get in touch with me on that. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and have a good one.